Welcome everybody to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. You know us and you know what we do, and that's tell you all about what's going on in the automotive world. I'm Les Jackson. That
Fred
guy
Staab.
right over there is Fred Staab.
Yeah.
And, well, as usual, Fred, we have a few surprises. We have a big surprise.
Yep.
In the truck world.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to even talk about it.
Well, I'm not afraid. Yeah, we're going to ask which Toyota model has outsold Ford's F-150 to become the best-selling vehicle in the USA.
Oh, say it ain't so, Fred.
Well, all along that record that the F-150, sometimes it would say the F series. Now that's parsing. The F series, which is 250, 350, 450, 550, and 600 out is the best-selling vehicle. But we're going to look at this some new statistics, and it seems like one vehicle, which we'll tell you about in just a moment, outsold F-150 for sure. And
that's right.
Hey, look, when F-150s are trading at $80,000,
yeah. Anyway, we'll do that. And also, I think it's really good news for Dodge owners. Could a Hemi V8 engine production be headed back right here to a plant in the U.S.? Well, I think we can say yes. We'll cover that.
Yeah, there's an interesting article in Mopar Insiders, and it seems like they might be doing that. So we'll talk about that and what it might end up in. Okay, there are some vehicles that we think it will end up in, but we'll let you know about that, right? And then
absolutely.
Chicago Auto Show, not a heck of a lot going on, but there were a couple of reveals. We're going to talk about the Forester Hybrid from Subaru and the Forester Wilderness Edition, also from Subaru. Both are based on the brand new version of the Forester, which is a good thing, and great to see that hybrid system coming in. Obviously, that hybrid system is going to head on to more vehicles, most likely the Crosstrek as well, right?
That is right. And over at Chevrolet, this is becoming a broken record. They're shutting down a bestseller.
Yes.
Hang on. I have Chevrolet on the line. Chevy? Yes. What are you doing?
Yeah. I mean,
they hung up.
Yeah. The Chevy Malibu was one of the best-selling vehicles. Their fourth best-selling vehicle, and they cut it. I guess what happens is if you build a sedan, they just don't want to build a sedan, even if it's selling. I would have kept it and did like mild updates. How about you?
Yeah, I'm sure the margins aren't where they want, but if you're not losing money, well, anyway, we'll talk about this.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're also going to talk about, which is a big deal here. We're sitting here getting ready for some big snow and some cold temperatures. It's been a very cold, wintry weather, pretty much endlessly here. But what are the biggest range-losing electric vehicles when it comes to freezing weather? Some are worse than others. So
that's right.
We'll talk about that.
It's all about physics. And we're going to talk tech. And this time it's about a hidden winch for Jeeps. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a winch that, believe it or not, would run off the electric drive for an electric Jeep. So you have a very small, almost hidden winch, but it uses the motor and drivetrain of the front axle. So that's...
Boy, you could probably pull a small planet with that.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever seen when they scrap ships, they have electric winches that pull the ship up onto the beach? And how they do it in...
Panama Canal, too, has the electric... those are big, powerful electric motors.
Yeah. So I guess they're just downsizing that technology a little bit. But that's a lot to get to. But we're going to jump right in and talk a little bit about the vehicle that has surpassed the F-150. Now, of course, the F-150 has been the perennial bestseller for how many years, Les Jackson?
48 years.
48 years.
That's older than me. Well, in
I noticed
degrees
I just
Celsius.
laughed. I didn't say anything more. But it looks like the RAV4 is officially the more popular than the F-150. And it is the first time, this is according to JATO, which is a statistics group that published the best-selling vehicles and kind of took a look at even the overall industry, which we'll tell you about. By the way, the U.S. sold 16.09 million passenger vehicles and light trucks, up by 3% last year,
that's
2024.
way up there. The biggest year ever.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are sales happening for sure. And GM was still the biggest seller ahead of Toyota and Ford in the U.S., although Toyota is number one in the world. That's something that GM used to claim. If you remember a long time ago, they used to claim that on every email. They would say, we are the biggest seller of vehicles in the world, right?
That's right. And if you remember, I know you will remember because we were reviewing back then in the late 90s, it was a big deal that all of a sudden what was the biggest selling sedan in the country was the Ford Taurus. It got outsold by the Camry,
right?
And that was a real big deal, and there was a war going on between the two companies.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, here we go.
Yeah, so RAV4, let's look at the numbers. Toyota RAV4 in 2024 sold 475,195 vehicles. That's up 9% from the previous year. And then Ford F-150 sold 460,915 vehicles. That's down 5%. Not big percentages. Well, I guess it is a big percentage for RAV4. You're almost 10% increase. But, you know, these are very closely aligned vehicles. But remember, RAV4, it's interesting. It's an older vehicle that goes back to 2018. It's going to be all new, or at least, new sheet metal, at the very least, next year. But RAV4 is an older vehicle. F-150 is a newer vehicle, but probably you can buy a RAV4 for half the price of a F-150, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The RAV4 is just, it's done its job right, and they win.
So just out of interest on these JATO statistics, number 3 was the Honda CR-V at 402,791 sold, which is up 11%. That's a newer vehicle. Number 4 comes in Tesla Model Y at 372,613. That's down 3%. You were saying numbers are changing there for Tesla in
Tesla's
Europe.
Sales are way down now this year, especially in Europe, but also here. So we won't be seeing those statistics much longer.
They'll be a little bit different next year. But Chevrolet Silverado 1500, 344,022, minus 2%. So that's the difference there is pretty huge when it comes. It's what, like 100,000 or more less than the F-150. And then they go down the line. It's interesting. Ram is not in the top 10.
No. I think they're doing a lot of catching up. I think we'll see them in the top 10 a year from now.
Okay.
like I'm the industry analyst here.
Hey,
But I think,
your thoughts are as good as anyone's.
well, but there, we know that, that the right people are at the steering wheel of Stellantis these days.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a bad year too because they had the wrong mix of vehicles. They had too expensive of models, and that hurt their sales tremendously. Just for interest, Toyota Camry, 309,875, up 7%. People are looking for less expensive cars. Just get it done, A to B.
And that's the Corolla is not as much as the Camry, but it's 283,000. Well, 283. And that's significant because it shows you that there are, as almost as many people buying Corollas as Camrys, and that means that that's 600,000 sedans.
Right.
People are changing their tastes.
Yeah, well, in a big way for Toyota Corolla, 22%, up 22% from 2003 to 2023 to 2024.
Right.
I still say the Toyota Corolla hybrid is like the ultimate commuter car. I mean, you're getting 50 miles to the gallon.
Absolutely.
It's a reliable car. It's good stuff. Number 8, Nissan Rogue. Nissan's glad to be in the top 10 for sure. 245,724, down 7%, which is not a good number, right?
Well, it's not, but they're hanging in there.
Yeah.
And of course, the Honda Civic, 242,000, very, very close to the Corolla. Up 21%. Again, a sedan.
Yeah.
A sedan.
Well, Honda and, of course, Toyota and Nissan, all at Kia, Hyundai, all are full-line manufacturers. Ford, GM, Ram are not, are they? Stellantis, I should say.
Are you listening, Ford, GM? And
yes, because it's going to swing around, and people are going to say...
And it seems to be, it's swinging fast. I think I can hear the door slam already. Now, just for fun, real quick, 1965 was the all-time best single model sales, which was the Chevy Impala. Just the Impala.
Bread and butter vehicle there.
It was over 1 million. I happen to know exactly what it was. It was 1.1 million because Ford Galaxy single model was 1.05 million. 2 models sold well over 2 million cars.
Yeah, that is amazing.
And that's when the entire sales for the year were like 9 million.
Yeah, that is a huge number. I don't know if we'll ever see that again.
I can't imagine it. I don't know how that would happen.
Yeah. And then I think I said GMC Sierra 1500, 216,000, 248. Many people still think there's not as big a difference between GM and Chevy. And people always question that. Why do they do that? Well, it's market share. You're now getting another 200,000 to add to your 344,000. So that brings you up to over 500,000. So,
and 500,000 of anything is pretty good.
Go park 500,000 full-size pickup trucks. I dare you.
Yeah.
You'll still be there like 10 years from now.
Have you, you and I have been to the plants, the car plants, factories, a number of different ones. I remember when I was down at the Ford plant in Norfolk, Virginia, which I don't believe is there anymore. It originally built Model Ts, and it was building F-150s. And they had this enormous parking lot out there for the trains and the trucks to come up. And I didn't realize a guy told me they had 2 full-time people just driving the trucks off the assembly lines and parking them.
Wow. Yeah.
That's just
get a lot of exercise, you drive it off the line and then you park like 2 miles away.
Yeah,
you have to run back.
And in all weather.
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
Interesting side note when you bring that up. I was just reading a story right before we came on air, and there is one vendor that has been used for 40 years to transport Corvettes and Fords.
Wow.
To load them on. Ford canceled their contract, and they went back to GM and said, well, we're going to need to renegotiate our contract because we lost all this business. We don't know why, but we lost all this business. And GM said, well, you've got all these Corvettes loaded on these trucks. Take them all off because we're not going to have our Corvettes get stuck on the trucks if you go on strike. So they unloaded. These trucks were loaded. These Corvettes were on the trucks. I mean, a lot of Corvettes, maybe like 100 Corvettes were on the truck to head out to the dealer and for people anxiously waiting. And they said, take them off. Imagine that. Imagine how long it would take you to unload like 100 Corvettes.
Yeah. And do they have other companies' trucks standing by?
Unknown at this point. I don't know. Are there other companies that do that? I mean, you can't hire like one guy with a truck. I mean,
no. I mean, those car carrying trucks are very, very expensive.
Yeah. So I don't know how that's.
I don't get it.
I assume they will come to some kind of agreement. But if you have a Corvette that has been built, and many people follow it through the line, if you have one that has been built and you're like, okay, well, they're loading it on, it could be delayed because of this. I'd want to go down there and drive it home myself. Even with the plastic wrap on it. I'll just open up the windshield.
I would go get it.
Rent a U-Haul trailer and tow it behind,
That's or get every single person I know who has a Wells Cargo or a car carrier say, let's go out. Let's have a parade and go out and get the cars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Just something to think about. But you have a story about the Hemi V8, right? And we've been talking a lot about this. We've talked about this where, people are thinking that it might come back because, hey, it was a popular engine and remains a popular engine in a number of models. It's in the Dodge Durango, for sure. That continues on. They were going to stop production of it, and then they basically kept it for the 2025 model year. And then
that's right.
It was in the Ram 1500, but it is not in the Ram 1500 for 2025, but there's some talk it could come back. But you have some interesting information that could mean that, it could be built in the U.S., which would be very interesting. We should say it is built right now or was built in Mexico. And that plant was shut down and reconfigured for the Hurricane straight six twin turbocharged engines. But now this plant in U.S. might tool up, right?
Right. The Dundee engine plant here in the U.S. Has been granted an extended lease on life to build the 5.7 Hemi. And I'm going to just translate that to cubic inches for those old school people. That's 345 cubic inches.
Or you're Mr. Figures, Mr. Physicist. A 5.7 is also a 350, but it's a 345 as well.
Right. It's 61 cubic inches.
Okay. All right. How does that work, though? How can it be at both a 345?
Well, because they just everything is rounded up or down.
Okay.
302, 305, same thing. But anyway, they're going to just start building it for the Dodge Durango.
Okay.
But I don't believe that's remotely going to be the only vehicle they do that. But the fact is, there are rumors now that the 5.7 Hemi could return to the Ram 1500. You know, it makes perfect sense. And the important thing is it's going to be built here, which means jobs, where these, where people, I guess the factory was shuttered.
No, I think they're building Hurricane engines in Mexico. They're building the Hurricane straight sixes.
No, the one in Michigan, the Dundee plant in Michigan.
I'm not familiar with.
Not sure about that.
No, I think they're building Pentastar V6s.
Okay,
and they still might be doing that.
Yeah. So the fact is, this is good. This is good news for, well, anybody that likes Hemi engines, which is pretty much everybody. In the car world, and it's great news for the Durango. I believe that it's going to be great news for the Ram 1500.
Okay.
I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario, though, when you think about the marketing of this. More than likely, they will build the 5.7 just like they were building it down in Mexico, which will mean that it will be lower horsepower, lower than the 420 horsepower Hurricane straight six twin turbo.
Right, but cheaper.
But that will mean it's the base engine. Now, a lot of people in this, I should say, this article is from Mopar Insiders. They're like, oh, well, that will make it odd that the V8 is less powerful than the V from the straight six, and then that will be an odd scenario. Not necessarily. Think of the F150. You can get it with a 4.6 liter V8 because people like that and they still order it. It's great too. You can supercharge it and make a kind of a super sleeper, real basic truck, which I would like that. Steel wheels, black steel wheels, and a very stripped out truck with a supercharged Coyote in it. But
the feel of
remember the V6 EcoBoost is a lot more powerful, and that is the premium engine. And that is the premium engine, even though the 4.6
is but it feels different from the V8.
Yeah. So I don't think it will be a problem, Les, to put it back in the 1500 and offer it. Some say they might offer it in the Tradesman or other vehicles like that. And then they say they'll offer a Hemi edition. Once again, my theory, everything that was once standard becomes a premium. So
exactly.
That will be.
It is about marketing.
Yeah. So I don't see it as a problem putting it back in the 1500. Will they put it in the Charger? I don't know. That's hard to say.
If you're building engines and you got the plant in Michigan, the more engines you build, the cheaper those engines are.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's my answer. Yes. It'll end up in the Charger.
And the question was raised, so what Hemis are they putting in the 2025 Durango? And that is, the answer to there is these were engines that were built in Mexico and stockpiled, and they are using them, burning through their stockpile for 2025. This new plant will be online, I'm sure, pretty quickly, and we'll be able to, they'll probably announce, hey, 2026, we're going to have that in the 1500 and continue to have it in the Durango at the very least, right?
That's right.
So
anyway,
there you go.
Stay tuned for more of this story, because there will be more.
There will be more.
I'm putting one in my desk just to power it.
Your stapler.
Your run stapler, around the office. Yeah.
I have a Hemi power stapler.
And my stapler. Yeah, exactly.
Remember the old Top Gear where they had a Corvette-powered blender?
It was, yes, yes. We knew what was going to happen when he, but it was catastrophic.
Yes. I also recalls back one of the best commercials. I believe it was for the Nissan Leaf, where they had, imagine if everything was gas powered and they had a gas powered alarm clock and
Yeah,
a
exactly.
gas powered coffee maker with like engines sitting there running all out to make coffee. Just one of the better commercials. I'm sure that's floating around on YouTube somewhere, but it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's very clever.
Yeah, very
gasoline. And one of the comedians was talking about getting a gasoline-powered turtleneck sweater for Christmas.
Yes. As opposed to an electric one, which would be odd as well. But hey, there you have it. Hey, you're listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Switching over to Chicago right now. Not a heck of a lot going on at the auto shows. There are a couple of reveals, but not like what we remember them, where it was 2 full days cram-packed with reveals. But there were a couple, and they were pretty interesting. The first one is the Subaru Forester Hybrid. And this is a new hybrid system, all new. Now, it's not the plug-in hybrid system that you remember from the Crosstrek from a few years ago. This is an all-new hybrid system. And this system is revealed first in the Forester, but it's going to definitely be making it to the Crosstrek and probably potentially other vehicles in the Subaru lineup. It is the first ever Subaru Forester hybrid. It has the next generation Subaru Series parallel hybrid system, combining the new 2.5-liter Subaru Boxer engine with electric motors and high-capacity lithium-ion battery. And this is a new engine. It uses the Atkinson cycle to make it very, very efficient, even though it is the same displacement as the other, as the 2.5. It is a new engine. And what's interesting here, you and I said, well, you know, the battery is going to have the battery motors are going to have about 110 horsepower. The engine, I think, has 160. It doesn't add up to over 200, at least officially, but they say the power is 194. And I have an interesting theory here. I'm not putting on my aluminum foil hat with a Subaru. Subaru's never been horsepower proud.
No, they haven't. Well, except for
I think they may be
WRX.
underrating this. I think it might be in the 200s, low 200s, maybe.
That has happened before.
Yes.
Other car companies have underrated their power. It has it does have an impact on insurance.
Yeah.
They certainly, you notice companies don't advertise 0 to 60. Except super high performance.
Yeah, ZR1 type stuff.
Because that encourages
spirited driving. Is that a way to put
spirited driving?
Spirited driving.
Yeah.
But I do think it probably has more than 194. Also, you underrate it. You're never going to get charged of inflating your horsepower rating. That's true. You won't get a lawsuit like Mustang did a number of years ago. That's right. So EPA rated at 35 city, 34 highway, which is good numbers. That is up 40%. That is up 40% from the non-hybrid versions, which is a major increase, right?
But if you think about it, Subaru has never really had great mileage numbers.
No, they haven't.
Not competitive with a lot of other companies. So, it's 40% better, which is, it's a reason alone to buy it. If you're a Subaru buyer and where you are in the Northeast, it is the law. You have to own a Subaru.
It is the law. It's the law. You must own a Subaru.
That's right. At least one of your cars has to be a Subaru. But they're wonderful. They're wonderful snow cars. Just probably the best snow car I've ever driven.
Yeah, unless it's like having all the ability of a Jeep or a raised up pickup truck without the need for a step stool.
Right. I equate it as it's the automotive equivalent to a horseshoe rabbit. It can get over any snow, no matter what.
That's right. Now they all have standard Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive. This is a mechanical drive system, unlike the RAV4, which is just motors in the back. Not that there's anything wrong with that. This is more of a traditional situation with a drive shaft going to the back.
Yeah.
So I think that's something they needed to do to keep the buyers in the tent. I think, but we'll see. It also has a CVT transmission, but it is planetary gear transmission, not the
big belt,
not the Kevlar impregnated belt,
and the cone-shaped pulleys.
Yeah. So
it's not a snowmobile. It's an SUV.
Yes. Also, it has the improved eyesight system for safety and a 12.3-inch digital display. Overall updated vehicle and a brand new hybrid drive system. You're probably wondering what it costs, and we'll give you the cost of that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. The premium hybrid, which is the base model, with destination, which is $1,420, goes $36,415. The sport hybrid, which will probably be the volume leader, $39,415. That's with destination. Yep. The limited hybrid, $40,830, and then the Forester Touring hybrid, $43,115 for the top of the range model. It's not out of the realm of RAV4 and some of the other ones. I think what people might like is it's pretty traditional styling. It still has that upright greenhouse that Forester fans love. They don't like the pinched down look. So it's still got that. It got a little criticism when it came out for looking exactly like a Ford Explorer. I guess a little bit in the front. But
actually, it does. Now that you say it does.
Yeah, especially in the front. The back is more Subaru-like. But I think the hybrid system will be great. They're going to have a lot more of them out there, and I'm anxious to try out the Crosstrek with the hybrid system. That will be even faster because it's lighter.
Yeah.
And I'm still thinking that they may have underrated the horsepower rating, but that's just me. That's just me playing prognosticator. And but we will talk more about this. You have one. There's yet another Forester was revealed, right, in Chicago.
That's right. They've debuted at Chicago the 2026 Forester Wilderness. It's got increased capability, trail-ready performance, refinements. I'm reading their marketing here.
It will make you grow a burly beard in the first
place. That's right. I forgot my plaid shirt.
I've got one.
9.3 inches of ground clearance, upgraded suspension, all-terrain tires, X mode for off-road performance for their symmetrical all-wheel drive.
Notice what's on the roof: kayaks, the symbol of
I do notice
active lifestylers.
Yes, our kayaks are up there. I don't know why
I like kayaking, but it's the symbol of active lifestyle personality.
Yeah. Although I don't like kayaking in the winter. Anyway, unique interior and exterior styling. Honestly, the interior looks pretty good to me. Different to me. The exterior looks pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Maybe a few little accents, but you know,
more cladding.
More cladding,
like more cowbell.
Right. And it has a revised 2.5 liter boxer engine, 180 horsepower.
This may or may not get the hybrid. I think it will.
I think it will eventually. Sure.
I think they might. You know how they do that. They'll hold that off to have something to reveal at an auto show coming up. They are capable, though. They certainly are capable.
Oh, they're very capable.
Yeah.
And they have an upgraded transmission cooler so they can tow 3,500 pounds, which is pretty fair.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. People say, well, I want the wilderness off-roading and that. But when you look at that, that's a key thing for getting the wilderness, either the Crosstrek or the Forester. I mean, because you can tow a small trailer with that one of those teardrop trailers. They're under 2,000 pounds. So that makes it into a nice little camping vehicle, tow vehicle, and, you know, maybe a snowmobile. I don't know what they weigh or something like that. So it kind of is the hidden plus of the wilderness package, that additional cooling.
That's right.
I like cooling. Don't you? I mean, I
do too. I would tell you what the price is, but we won't know what the price is until they get closer to launching the new one in the fall of this year.
Yeah. And I'm sure it'll be a popular seller. I see them all the time. That blue, I kind of like that blue that they have on the first Forester Wilderness Edition. So, and they used it also in the Crosstrek.
I don't know why I'm thinking of it, but they don't still make the LL Bean version?
No, they used to. I don't think they make that anymore, though.
I always liked the color and the trim.
Yeah. Wasn't green with tan seats?
Yeah, it was like an LL Bean jacket.
Comes with those rubber boots, which would be ideal.
That's right. and the kayaks.
And with the kayaks, I'm telling you, you got to walk around. I'm going to go that way as an active lifestyler.
Yeah, I usually carry one with me into the grocery store.
It's great when you turn around.
Everyone
quickly.
Gets out of my way.
Yeah, you're in the egg aisle, and you turn around quickly and just sweep all the eggs off. That could be millions of dollars with the price of eggs.
Yes, it'd be like an I Love Lucy show.
Yes. By the way, that totally unconnected. People are buying chickens to cut down on the high cost of eggs.
Yeah, but wait till they find out that having a chicken isn't exactly a simple thing.
Well, I have a weird story on this, and the audience, please endure this for a second. So we used to share cabs from the train station. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to some guy, and they were going to drop him off first. And he said, yeah, I have a chicken coop in my backyard for fresh eggs. And I said, this was around October or something. I said, oh, that's nice. I said, but what do you do with them in the winter? Can they survive outside in the winter? He goes, well, we'll find out. And I was like, oh boy. No. Somehow that's animal abuse.
I don't. Yeah. I don't.
I said, I think you should find out now by asking whoever you're buying from.
I doubt that they can survive a really cold winter.
Yeah.
Outside.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes. I don't know why I'm on this, because I know I have an in-law who built a chicken coop some years ago, and the typical wood door and the chicken wire.
Yeah.
But he learned rather quickly that, yes, that type of construction keeps the chicken from getting out, but it doesn't keep the foxes and the coyotes from getting in.
Right.
So
now you can't escape. Yeah, it's a problem. Right. It's a problem. Yeah. Hey, you're listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We are glad you're along for the ride. Up next, why would you kill a vehicle that is selling well? It's your fourth best selling vehicle. Well, you can ask GM about that. They had the Chevy Malibu. It was actually the third best-selling midsize sedan, and I believe their fourth best-selling vehicle in their lineup, and they killed it off.
Yep.
They sold 117,319 Malibu sedans before the production ended last November. That's 3,500 more than Nissan. Wouldn't you keep it, do some mild updates like restyle the wheels or something like that?
You would certainly think so.
Yeah.
I know people who have rented Malibus, and they said they loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And 117,000 certainly makes a business case, especially if you're already making them. But I guess the powers that be say, well, unless you make a total gross profit, we don't want to waste the effort.
Yeah, or the plant was needed for something else. But
could be, but it seems short-sighted to me.
Yeah, and people are looking for inexpensive cars, basic cars. We think that's the way it's spinning. You would have kept that alive. You could sell it for great deals to bring people into the showroom. But it's this insistence that nobody wants it. But apparently enough people wanted it. And if you recall, there were some good deals on these things. If you needed, like I said, a first car, imagine getting this as your first car. That's fine. Yeah. It doesn't have a lot of horsepower. It's fine. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, air conditioning that works. What would be wrong with that? Yeah, it'll continue to work for quite some time. But they just can't have a sedan. You just can't have any sedan in the line.
Well, but if you look at who's selling what, you better have a sedan.
Yeah. I would say, and this might be ridiculous, but I've heard of people come in and they buy, I'm buying a big SUV, and then they buy like another small car just to commute to work at the same time. Make a deal, right? You could get a sale of one of these.
That's right.
I'll use the Malibu to go to work in. It's a fine car. It gets decent mileage. It's not stylish. Somebody reviewed one that says,
that's right.
It will communicate that you just don't care. And I would say
the interior to me, I test drove a Malibu when I was selecting a car to buy.
Right.
And I loved the way it drove. Very quiet, very smooth, but the dash, the general interior, and the dash in particular, is just still a little bit dated.
Yeah,
to me.
Yeah. Well, someone drove one, another one of our automotive journalist friends, and it says, "Hey, it's a great car, drives fine, it's comfortable, it's good for road trips, good value, but it communicates that you just don't care." You're not stylish. And it's like, you know what?
Wow.
Maybe I'm value oriented. I just want a car that starts, runs, and is not going to break the bank.
Actually, my wife said, "Well, it's a really nice car, but it just feels like we're driving a grandfather clock." and you know what? It feels like the interior is 18, 20 years old.
Yeah, that's the problem. Then you would say, then I would go against a Camry or something and say, well, that's a new model. It's a hybrid. What could I get into that for? What could I get into a base model of that for? and that's a modern car. It's, and it's going to be built for a number of years yet. So I don't know. Still, it is intriguing that they're selling these things. Some of them, I think, were selling for brand new for less than $20,000. It's intriguing.
It's a bargain. It's a bargain.
Just close your eyes, and as they said, the best thing is you just park it somewhere and it will blend into the woodwork. Nobody will even notice. Nobody's going to come over and wreck it. It's just going to, And we'll talk about that more, I'm sure, in the future. But hey, it's Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We're running through the stories here. Let's talk next. Les, you have a story about electric vehicles, certain electric vehicles losing range in cold weather. And this is certainly something that we can experience lately, you and I, where we're living right now.
Well, that's right. First of all, cold weather affects batteries. It doesn't kill them. It just makes them less efficient at moving electricity.
I mean, I know this even with my GoPro when I'm out. I was out shooting yesterday. It was cold and windy, and it's like, why am I down to 50% after a few minutes of shooting?
That's right. Now, we have this is some of the statistics. The average range loss on a cold day, like let's say it's 30 outside, 20% range on average.
That's pretty big.
Goes down. And now some of that range is being used up by running the heat pump and the heating system hotter. Obviously, it's electric heat.
Yeah.
And it works great.
It works instantly. You don't have to worry for the thermostat to open. Yeah.
Yeah. But the worst performers are the Nissan Leaf, the Chevy Bolt, and the VW ID4.
Okay.
The Tesla Model X and Y and the Audi e-tron, it's always the Audi e-tron, perform better than average.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, it depends on how you warm the battery. Some vehicles have better battery warming or battery cooling systems for summer than others. Obviously, the EVs that are equipped with heat pumps for your heating system work better than vehicles that just have heating elements like a toaster.
You can have
toast. And again, they work fine,
right?
But it's the least efficient way to create heat.
Okay. Well, so
anyway.
Are they losing range due to the fact that they are using power to heat the battery to keep it more efficient, or are they losing range just because of how the battery is designed?
It's the battery itself is cold. You get into it, and that battery has to heat up. If it's 32 outside, the battery's got to heat up for quite a while before it starts becoming as efficient as it should have been in standard temperature and pressure, which scientifically is 68 degrees atmospheric pressure.
Okay.
I had to say that. I'm sorry.
No.
But that's how everything is measured. That's the standard. So the Tesla Model X, for instance, retained 89% of its range, but that means it lost 11% of its range.
Right.
And if it's a 200-mile range, that's 22 miles.
Yeah, which you would want it'd be better to have 22 miles than not to.
Yeah. And also when it's cold, there's less sunlight, less hours of sunlight. You're running the lights,
right,
and all the other stuff, the wipers more often. So all of these things add up. But a battery itself, the colder it is, the less efficient it is at moving electricity. It's not moving electrons. That's not how electricity works. It's moving energy. It's moving electromagnetic energy.
Let me ask you this. So, okay, if I have an electric vehicle and I have it on the charger in my garage, right? Unheated garage.
Right. But your garage probably
gets cold.
But it's like 50 degrees. It's not 30 degrees.
Okay. But do they run the heater through the charger, even though it's charged up? Do they keep it? Because so basically you should not leave your car outside if you have an electric car.
No, you should. Well, I don't believe in leaving any car outside.
No, if you can avoid it. Yeah.
Much longer if you put them in a garage. But in your garage, I have thermometer in my garage, and it never, ever gets below 50 degrees, even in the coldest weather.
Okay.
That's not cold. I mean, it's rain. The battery, will do just fine.
You just wouldn't leave it on a frozen lake with gale force winds.
No, that's right. But but if it's, we've had a very, very cold January, single digits, and that really is going to affect your range.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's jump into our next story. And this is a talking tech, and it has to do about winches. Winches. Well, we don't talk about winches that much. Yeah. But typically they're a big motor that and a big coil of wire that hangs out on your bumper. Always difficult to have something heavy hanging on your bumper because it's putting extra weight on the front end. It's even a concern if you're off-roading, because you're putting weight out there. Nice to have, though. If you get stuck, you can send that cable out, wrap it around something, and tow yourself out. But now Jeep has put in a patent. This is from Mopar Insiders, and it would allow the electric motor of an electric Jeep, which we don't have one yet, but we might, to selectively provide drive torque to the vehicle's wheels or the integrated winch. So the system to power the front wheels would also power this winch. So you don't need a separate electric motor. It weighs a lot less. It can be concealed more. And they feel that it would be, cutting down on weight, more aerodynamic in the front. Interesting concept, isn't it?
It's a terrific concept. Basically, what they've got is a transfer case set up in the electric or attached to the electric motor. It's brilliant. You get tremendous torque, far more than any winch I know of could supply. You don't have a winch sticking out there that gets rusty.
Right.
This is brilliant. I'm impressed.
Yes, it's of course, though, you do need an electric Jeep to hang this on.
Well, yes, you do. Yeah.
There is talk of the Jeep Recon and some others, and eventually there probably will be a fully electric Wrangler. But I think it's a great idea. Why bring along two things if you only need to bring along one thing?
Exactly.
Right?
But I guess now you just still have the cable, so that has to get wound up. That's got to be in a housing.
Yeah.
That's in a weatherproof housing. The
picture they showed, that was all behind the bumper, so it's just a slot with a hook coming out.
Okay, but now what comes to my mind is every time I've ever been involved with a winch, the cable has gotten all twisted and kinked and hasn't wound up correctly, and it ends up you spend more time straightening the cable out than you do actually trying to get the vehicle out of whatever it's in.
Okay.
how does that work if it's behind the, you can't just get to it.
Easy. You just disassemble the whole front of the vehicle.
Okay, so it has its own.
There you go.
It has its own lift that raises the vehicle.
Yeah, you get your little clip tool out. You take the front fascia off. No, it's a good question. I would say you probably have to get underneath where you can access it and
be very, very careful when you're using it.
Yeah, I would say
it's a great idea.
Why can't they replace the cable with like a Kevlar strap that is flat?
Well, yeah, why not? Why not? You don't need a cable.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's it. They make those straps for towing. They're Kevlar impregnated nylon straps.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something to make it even lighter. But the idea of not duplicating something.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then powering it with something with electricity from the battery or the alternator.
I wanted to do this story for a couple of weeks now, but I wanted to get to it because we were talking about electric cars and cold weather. Polestar has created a collection of Arctic cars to showcase Swedish performance DNA. They call these Arctic Circle cars, and they are going to talk about them. They'll make their public debut. I love the name of this. At the 2025 Fat Ice Race.
Wow.
In Austria.
Fat Ice Race.
Yeah. So they're showing that these vehicles are all capable in the cold weather. They're kind of like rally vehicles almost in cold weather. They have a bunch of them. The Polestar 2 has dual long-range motors with a software upgrade and Öhlins adjustable dampers. These Öhlins dampers are on a lot of different Polestar vehicles and some Volvo vehicles too. Front and rear strut braces. They got all the parts and pieces. Pirelli Scorpion All-Terrain Plus tires with 4mm studs for ice track driving.
That's serious tire.
Oz Racing Rally wheels, Recaro pole position bucket seats, Black Crow's all-terrain skis. Got to have them. They got them mounted up on the roof. And then Polestar 3 Arctic Circle has some of the same material, but it has a Thule wing bar, edge roof rails, and custom roof basket, and a Fiskars Snow Expert shovel. Isn't Fiskars a cat food? I believe so.
I think, yes.
And then Polestar 4 has some other similar gear. It has those, I think they call them, for getting out of snow. They look like toboggans that you put under your wheels. So they're kind of showing off the ability of electric vehicles in cold weather. And I'm sure they're very capable in cold weather. You probably just don't want to let them sit outside overnight, right? To lose range.
This could be a lot of fun.
I would imagine it is fun.
It's I did it once on a Volvo trip on a frozen lake with the studded tires, and they had a gymkhana course set up to go fast. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did a ice driving event up in Quebec for Michelin, and it was so icy on this track, like it was snowing and there was pure ice underneath it. I walked around like like you could get out of the car and slip and fall. I mean, it was like, it was sort of like cut into the snow, like it was like a giant bowl. And the guy kept yelling at me, "Go faster, and Fred."
That's right.
And it's like, well, we're sliding sideways, you know. I never want to be the guy that wrecks a press car in front of everyone, you know.
Well, that has always bothered me over the years. You know, I don't want to wreck it. I've never banged one up.
Yes.
Never scratched one up. Scratched a few wheels.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that happens. Real wheel rash. But there was a case of that. I don't have the full story, but it was a supercar over in Europe, and the guy like literally flipped it into a ravine with water. Everyone was okay, and it was like in town, like it just got away from them, and the thing was upside down with its doors open and the flash was on.
Shouldn't have gotten away from him.
Yeah. So I just don't want to be
driving beyond his abilities.
That guy. Yeah. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control. We covered a lot. It's time for me to say, I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you right down the road. Take care.
Right. Bye.